Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is John with Tommy's Top Picks here to bring you, well, a little bit of an update on ProQuest data. We're on week 4. Well, rather, last week was week 4. This is now Friday. This should go out today momentarily, so hopefully this is as contemporary as I can make it. As you can see, we only got to 33 recorded events of 37. I think I was less last time, so this is pretty solid. Most of the data is here now. Couple of surprises, couple of things worth looking at, especially as we head into Calling Indianapolis and the Pro Tour and all the rest of the events coming up shortly. If you're following the meta, you know that Prism has been on the rise, and she has shown herself to be very, very viable into the Starvo meta. So we're starting to see a shift. It looks like a third of the total event wins went to Prism, and it is out of a lower number of top 8 contestants, so that means she is at a higher ratio of success than Starvo now, which is pretty interesting. And then, of course, Starvo is still holding strong at 33%, but he had a lot more people running him, so that means he is technically weaker than Prism, I would say, based on these top 8s. We don't have all of the data for all of the players and all of the games and all the stats to work out everything, but we can derive quite a bit of information from this. So, highly competitive players make it to top 8s. Top 8s converting to wins is the ratio that is probably the most interesting, and that is the thing that will tell us, whether it's a highly competitive player, deck, or otherwise. So just general meta overview. Top showing is in the top 8 is Starvo still. Second, obviously, is Prism. So they're both kind of weighted as heavier presence. You should keep that in mind. Viscerize 42 out of this total. I guess it's 37 or it's total top 8s here. No, that can't be right. Oh no, it would be 8 times 37. Yeah, right. So, anyways, so 42 Visceri in the top 8 out of this set, and so that's your main meta. Still, it has been for the past few weeks, but it was primarily Starvo, with Visceri having a very small showing and Prism being second place and pretty solid. Now we're looking at it being a little bit heavier weighted up towards Prism, and what we're going to see, I believe, especially with this conversion ratio or event win ratio, is even more Prism going into the next events, because she's shown that she can hold her own and has a better win ratio. What that means is there's going to be counterplay into her, right? So there'll be others that will play that are good against Prism. Does that mean Reinhardt comes out to play? I doubt it. If you look, he has not shown much strength, and I believe Reinhardt was one of the best matchups against her. Or maybe I'm getting that backwards, and she's good against him. Yeah, actually, I think I got that backwards. He's good into original Bravo, I believe, right? So then it's Katsu is something that's supposed to be pretty good against her. I've heard that. I know there's a competitive Katsu deck out there. It does not seem to be showing up yet. I imagine that one's being held back for Pro Tour, so expect that surprise. Other than that, I think Prism's going to be pretty dominant. Maybe we'll see some, Ice Lexi or something like that, a little bit unexpected but viable. Obviously, we did get Arcano win in here this week, which was a surprise for many, and it's a good conversion ratio, technically the best conversion ratio of all of them. So they got, 20% of the top 8s ended up winning, which is 5-1, so small sample size, take that into account. But technically, this is the best conversion ratio. I would not call that the most powerful hero at the moment. I think it was a very skilled player, and going into a meta that wasn't expecting them and apparently didn't have Null Rune. I believe there's an interview about it, and a number of people said they didn't even know how to play against Kano, which is fair because Kano is not particularly dominant and hasn't been for a while, right? So you might get these sleeper surprise type heroes coming through and doing something interesting. Chain is on the rise, I believe. Let's look at last week's. Oops. Chain was nope. Chain had a higher conversion ratio last week and had more participation. So maybe Chain's falling off. Yeah, it looks like Chain's falling off. So trending down, worth noting. May not end up being as good as some people were hoping he would sneak in and be a viable fourth party in the play. So let's see. We don't have full ratios. So let's see. Yeah. Starvo was 42. Prism was way down. Yeah, she hopped a lot, and Viscerai hopped a little bit. So Starvo dropped about 10% between the 2 weeks. Prism doubled, and Viscerai went up 8 points. So that's interesting. Yeah, interesting. So this is where the meta is. I don't know how much it will change going into the next event since ProQuest is now over. It's a little bit different when there's a weekly evolution. Indianapolis is coming up in a few weeks here. And then beyond that is Pro Tour, I believe, is the thing after that. There may be one other event, maybe a Battle Harden, SCG Battle Harden, I think, something like that. But I'll keep an eye on the stats and let you know what I think. Definitely see Prism going strong as being present in the meta unless there's some drastic change or someone finds something that's just all powerful that hasn't been seen before. I'm guessing that's not going to happen. This seems like a much more skill-based meta than your Briar meta and that sort of thing. Because essentially what's happened is you have Starvo, which is relatively straightforward to play, and I guess people are not very happy playing it. But there's a lot of ways to play around it, and there's a lot of high ceiling decks that people are slowly, week after week, getting better with, as you're seeing with this Viscerai and Prism. It's harder to build, it's harder to learn, and then once you've learned it, you have to get good with it against various matchups, etc., for the stats to start showing the result of that work. So we're starting to see that with Prism and Viscerai. I know Viscerai is explosively dangerous in the hands of a very skilled pilot, and almost a complete dud in an unskilled pilot's hands. So it's not the type of thing you want to net deck. I can't say the same for Prism. I think there is some level of you can make it work with a little bit of knowledge. I don't think she's easy by any stretch, but I think she's easier than Viscerai. And then her high skill level is extremely good. I don't think her ceiling is as high as Viscerai based on what I've heard from pros and various people that have been testing stuff. So my guess is we will see them as dominant in this next meta as we move into the larger events. Starvo will still represent a large portion. I just think it will be beaten more often because it is the deck to beat still. I don't see that changing. I think most people will pick it up because it's the easiest thing to pick up and do well with. And what will happen is just more and more people will lose with it. So you'll see these ratios drop down. The conversion ratio will continue to fall on them. So expect to see Starvos in your meta. Expect to know how to beat them. And if you don't know how to beat them, then you should play a Starvo probably. Because that will be the easiest thing. And then you need to know how to beat a Starvo with a Starvo, which is apparently a coin toss and very unfun. But that is how the meta is right now. Keep it up. I hope you guys are having fun competing and playing matches. And that's it for now. Have a good one.